Liberal city moves closer to massive payments to black residents. What? Outnumbered. Panelists weigh in after San Francisco Board of Supervisors voiced support for the plan to award every eligible black resident with in $5 million in reparations. Dude, that would never happen, but that would be so fire. That's so funny. Oh my God, I love this. I love this story. Listen, if you're black and you haven't moved to San Francisco yet, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean?
San Francisco's Board of Supervisors is backing a draft plan for sweeping reparations for African Americans.
Yeah, I know. Hasanabi released the new Shinkansen Japanese bullet train with Sea Dog VA. Hasanabi Vlogs episode 1. I haven't watched it yet. I'm very excited to watch it, but we haven't watched it yet. We're going to watch it later. We're going to do the news.
Americans. But
this would be very racist of me not to cover the very real news story of every black person in San Francisco getting $5 million in reparations.
No one is saying who will be footing the bill. The proposal would award every eligible black resident $5 million. It would wipe out their personal debt, guarantee a nearly six-figure income for the next 250 years, and offer homes for just $1. But the city is already drowning in debt, projecting a, wait for it, $728 million deficit through June of 2025. Kaylee, you can't make up both the fantasy ideological nature of this proposal and the absolute derelict, toxic budget accompanying.
Oh, this is so fire. They have a black panelist on too. Oh, I can't wait to hear about how that's so devastatingly stupid. Like about how reparations is just a morally bankrupt subject matter from a black woman that they put on there. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's so true. John Dennis, who's the head of the San Francisco Republican Party, said this is a completely unserious proposal. He said the $5 million lump sum payout seems ridiculous. But he went on to say it also seems that this is the one city where it could possibly pass, which you'd think San Francisco could possibly pass. But the broader American public, 68% told Pew we are against the idea of reparations. So in terms of a nationwide sort of system, maybe this happens in San Francisco. It's happened in some other jurisdictions. I don't foresee this having broad support.
Like, what planet are you guys on? What kind of crack are you smoking? Like, you just revealed that even in San Francisco, most people are like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Like, what are you talking about? There is not a single dude. What the fuck? This nation was built by slavers, man. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Reparations were given in the aftermath of the abolition of slavery to slavers for freeing their slaves. Like, literally, that's the only time reparations have happened in this country. Get the fuck out of here. You think, oh my God. San Francisco, people in San Francisco don't want to treat poor white people like they're full human, let alone black people, okay? Everyone in this community, I hope, understands that individuals who do not consider even poor white people as full human beings, they are never going to consider black people as human beings, like across the board, no matter what level of fucking wealth they're at. That's crazy. San Francisco is like also simultaneously being like, how do we melt the homelessness plan?
Nationwide.
San Francisco is one of the towns where Walgreens shuttered all of their locations there. Yeah. The African American and underserved population.
They literally openly fucking mentioned that the Walgreens like theft dynamic was made up. And Fox News, fun to see Fox News, who hates corporations, by the way. Remember, they're like anti-corporate, right? Even though they are a corporate entity themselves. So interesting that Fox News would literally avoid an opportunity to shit on woke social justice warriors over at Walgreens.
Population in San Francisco has been disproportionately affected by the crime, by the COVID wasteland happening, and all the more. So if they want to help those residents, I don't think an unserious proposal is the way to do it.
So I wonder, how do you actually qualify for this? Are we doing like a huge genetic study? If you were, and my mom was a social worker, I talk about it all the time. We adopted a biracial baby. When I was growing up, we'd have foster care in my home children from every walk of life. They were with a black family. Would they get reparations? By the way, we were in the San Francisco Bay Area for part of that time. So I'm wondering who actually can check what boxes to get this? And how many in the last couple of generations of blacks actually came from Africa? Like, is that how they're doing it? I have really basic questions here, because as Emily just pointed out, there are a lot of people, no matter what your skin color or your situation is economically, you could use some help. And I can't imagine you.
Bro, I love when the only time Fox News cares about class, which is not wrong, by the way, but the only time Fox News will ever bring up class issues is if they're like using it against black people. Okay? The only time they're like, well, what about all the other poor people? It is the same exact mentality of being like, oh, immigrants are coming here? Well, what about our homeless veterans? Bitch, you spat on a homeless veteran on your way to fucking work today. And then you act like you get on top of the ivory tower and you turn around and you go, what about our homeless? The past segment that you did was about how we can murder the homeless legally and we should be able to do so. But the moment that like immigration comes up, you're like, well, why don't we help our own? They always use pre-existing problems. They like mix and match pre-existing fucking problems and use it against one another. It's fucking crazy. She did what to a homeless veteran? Not her literally. I'm saying like half of these liberals and conservatives unironically just do not ever care about homeless people until they are using homeless people as a talking point against immigrants. It's the same shit. They're talking about black people and reparations. Immediately, they're like, well, what about all the poor working class individuals in America? They do not care about mental health. But the moment whenever gun violence occurs, they're like, well, what about the mental health aspect? What we should really be doing is like focusing on the mental health aspect. They never have ever cared about any of these issues. They just use that as a distraction. And then you have dummies in here going, Fox News, handshake emoji, DSAers inventing race reductionism. Jesus fucking Lord mercy, dude. Holy fuck.
You not wanting to be in a neighborhood where everybody is being helped. A high tide lifts all boats. I don't know. Does this make people want to study more, to rise, to do all of that? The victimhood is dripping in this. Who does this help?
Yeah, and who are the victims? This is a jurisdiction that never had slavery, so this is taking money from people who've never owned slaves and giving it to people who were never slaves. As you said, then it gets into all of the weirdness about how do you start categorizing people based on their ancestry. I think you go to these websites and it seems that we're all related to each other anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, this guy, yeah. I love that. Yeah, this guy's actually, dude, this guy, ADOS, baby. You can't deny it, okay? African descendant of slaves. That's him right there. Right there, man. He's like, well, at a certain point, you got to realize we're all from Africa. I love that. I fucking love that. I would love to see that guy on Fox News say the N-word.
Yeah, it's
don't push him. He will say it.
I guess you want to call it a virtue signal, but it's more of an insanity signal. Not that we expect sensible governance from the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, but this is kind of a new low.
Well, yeah, and it's an illegal and immoral wealth transfer. That's all it is. It's not about compassion. It's not about human flourishing. It's not about lifting people up at all. It's about power. It's about the left saying, we'll give you free stuff if you vote for us, so vote for us. And who's going to foot the bill? We all know who's going to foot the bill. It's the taxpayer. And the mass exodus from California speaks for itself. California is not working. It's going to work even less if this happens.
Yeah, I haven't had this discussion with my biracial adopted sister, but I think I should. I want to know from her perspective, too. Raised by black parents
really
just like me.
Point.
Who's blacker? Like, this is ridiculous. This divides us in ways that we can't even conjure.
Yes.
Yeah, reparations is very divisive. Yeah. So that's awesome that she said that. That's awesome that she just popped off with that. Okay. You guys know what my perspective is on the matter. I do believe in reparations. I think it's a good idea. I think it's like the first smart moral I believe in reparations. I believe it's the first smart moral thing to do. It's literally the first step towards like any kind of restitution. If we're going to talk about how reparations should be doled out, There are many different ways of doing such a thing. I know Sean Hannity would never burp in the mic, but Sean Hannity would never, ever talk about reparations in a positive way either. So there you go. You take the burps towards the microphone with the anti-racist agitated propaganda. You know, it is what it is. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so I support reparations, but $5 million per person is a little much. This is a shit ton of money. Guys, this is rage bait. There's no fucking way that like there's actually a $5 million payout happening. Get the fuck out of here, okay? That's not happening. As it stands, how do we know? How can we fucking push for reparations? How can we make reparations happen in this country? I don't know. Obviously, there would have to be... I mean, I don't know. I just don't believe that that will ever happen. Let's be real. America is a profoundly racist country. There's just no fucking way. She said, who's black enough? Kind of giving away whiteness is exclusionary. Yeah. Whew. Ultimately, I think one of the more reasonable ways to do it, even though like in a perfect world, okay, the most reasonable way to possibly pass this legislation would be through community-wide reparations instead of like community-wide reparations paired up with like individual like monetary compensation. But good luck with that. It's most likely not going to happen. So yeah, can you track people that work in certain plantations? You could technically do that. Yes, I think we have the capabilities of being able to do that, but it's never going to happen regardless, unfortunately. But this in and of itself seems like just rage bait. It's a lot of work to trace adequate reparations. We'd never commit to it. You're fucking crazy if you think something like that wouldn't, because white people cause white people to further hate black people. I mean, it doesn't take much for white people to hate black people. I'm going to be honest with you. Bro, white people in this country don't want to even acknowledge systemic racism. Like, what do you mean?